I struggled actually in nursery, junior school, primary school, sorry, and secondary. I knew I was diagnosed dyslexic in school and with social services, but there was always, like that hyper, that attention disorder, that I knew I had, and it weren't through being naughty or mischievous, like they used to label that in school.
Did you? Did
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
Yeah.
And wasn't. I mean, my mum weren't given the option, to get me diagnosed, because social services were in and out of our lives. So yeah, I always knew there was something there, and for years as an adult, especially starting recovery 8 years ago up in Stroud, and in college, I knew I had ADHD. I knew it was ADHD, and I fought to get that diagnosis. I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't have to wait long, and I got diagnosed 5.5 years ago, and my life makes sense now. It makes sense. So all from child, teenager, adult, everything's coming into place now because of, this diagnosis.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm on my father's part of the family, we're Iraqi Kurdish gypsies, and my father's one of 24 kids, 24, my nanny granddad.
Wow.
I know. He had 3 wives, typical Turk. Yeah. So that side of the family struggled with addiction. They struggled with addiction. Some people in recovery will say, I wasn't born into it. I was born into it. My father passed away at the age of 32 years old, which is young, left my mum widowed with 6 kids, and that was due to the alcoholism and the drugs.
Right.
And yeah, and yeah.
So it must have your drug issue
No,
must have started as a teenager then.
Oh no. My drug started as a young child.
Really?
Young child, yes. It was like members of the family. It was kind of like it was their own gypsy remedies, like, but for 35 years later, I'm like, how crazy it is to be given ketamine as a child. It's wild. And then all the drugs that I had, because I was injecting, I was smoking, I was drinking, becoming an alcoholic, and the drugs that I had were making me feel normal. And it wanted to come into recovery that people with ADHD have stimulants like cocaine, crystal meth, and it keeps us balanced. So that's why I took loads and loads and loads, because it wasn't working for me.
So it was self-medicating, really.
Yeah.
Yes. And this was all long before you had the ADHD meds.
Yeah. Totally. Way before that. But all my drug of choice makes sense.
Yes.
It made sense because it controlled my ADHD. And it's quite weird. Like, oh yeah, I'll have some crack or I'll have some coke because that's balancing my ADHD. Now, I didn't know all this until I was in recovery.
So when did you first get to see professionals to help with the drug issue?
So that was 2015, and that was in East London. It was a charity, CGL and Lifeline. I was doing like drop-in groups, and then had a caseworker there, and you have a program for about 3 months, and then they start putting you up to the next stage, getting you funding to do treatment and detox. I was let down the first time in 2015, and then went up to the panel again in 2016, and that's when I got the funding to go to a detox unit, Clouds House in Wiltshire, for 7 weeks, which they do the 12-step program.
Right.
I got further funding to stay at the Nelson Trust for 6 months, that rehab, and then just resettled here. So
did any of the professionals ever suggest you might have ADHD?
I mean, I become close friends with a guy who was doing the same recovery time as me. We came from the same detox, same rehab. I've been with this guy for like 7 months every day, and he was like, Sharrif, trust me, you have got it, because he had.
This is another person who was in recovery.
Yeah, recovery.
So not the professionals. No, they didn't suggest it.
No. And the guy Nicholas we like we're mirroring each other because we use the same drug. We hang around with the same type of people. And he's like, I've been diagnosed when I was a child and I've been on medication. Trust me, you've got it, you know. And they will look into that at Nelson. That was just pushed because all they want for me is not to pick up a drug. So they like, you know, like that side just leave it to the doctors. We can't do nothing about that. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was at college and started the Access to Art course around 2018, 17, something like that. And the teachers, I felt like I was in school. I was always the student that was pulled to one side. Oh, you're speaking out loud. Oh, everyone can hear what you're saying, and you're too hyper. And you know, maybe you should sit here. And you know, and it was like that for 2 years
Gosh.
in there. Yeah, it was like that for 2 years in there. And at the same time, I was getting counselling, and when I got referred, um, yeah, so the course had one more year to do. The teachers pulled me to one side and was like, "Look, you're amazing, and we have faith in you, but
Right.
we don't think you should do the last course. There is
Oh.
other art classes we can put you in, if you're still interested." Now, these classes, I'm 40 at this time, 40, 39 at this time, and they want me to go to class with 17 and 18-year-olds, which is, you know, it's not, for me, it would have been degrading.
Yeah, difficult.
So the people that I've been with on the course are in one room doing this master's, and I'm in here
Yeah.
going back.
Yeah.
So when I did get diagnosed, and I saw my birthday, it was quite funny when they walked in. I was like, "Hey, happy birthday! You've got ADHD." And they gave me, they did a couple of weeks after that, they did me a professional letter saying, "This is what Sharrif has. This is the support he needs in the workplace or in college." And then when I took that into college, they took all this into consideration and they work around me. And like, I can't say how much like gratitude I've got for the nurse to do the letter and for the college to take this all in and give me the support that I needed.
That's excellent.
Yeah. And I've
That's really
recently done an exam, an English one, functional, and they put everything in for me, like the extra time, you know, can go out, have a little breather, you know, and I passed.
great.
I passed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's an achievement because I've never passed anything in school, you know. You know, I
Yeah.
was kicked out in school because I was too hyper, naughty, you know, and I got kicked out of several schools. You know, there weren't any support there at the time.
So the counsellor never suggested that you might have ADHD either. It was really a friend that you met on when you were in Swindon on the recovery.
On the recovery. Yeah.
Right, that's amazing, really, because those professionals should all be suggesting that, and that's one of the big things that came out of this consensus statement.
So the psychiatrist in detox, you know, I had an appointment with him to talk about medication and to come off of detox medication. And I said I'm so hyper in the evening, you know, and this and that. And he even said, "You're not in here for long, but I'll suggest you get a diagnosis of something." He thought it was autism. He thought it was autism. He did mention ADHD. So he got me on, he upped my doses of my evening medication so I could just chill and relax and sleep well. Because I wasn't doing well when I first came into detox, you know, sweating all these drugs away. So,
yeah. Well, it must be difficult. I mean, it's a big challenge once you get to that point where you've got so many drugs in your life, isn't it? Yeah.
Of course. They put me on the medication straight away when I got diagnosed. Met a friend who has ADHD. All my friends have got ADHD in Stroud, and she was on a medication that was working for her.
Right.
And I could see the mood when it comes, when it doesn't. So I asked the doctors to put me back on it.
Yes.
So I am back on it, and I'm doing what I should do with it. And you know, I don't want to do that for life though.
Right.
You know, I don't want to do. At the moment, it's working and it's working fine. But there's that, you know, I'm going back up for a review with the medication as well, because they might have to up it because I'm still getting the symptoms when I like the old symptoms that the medication used to work for are coming back.
I see.
Yeah.
You must be very proud of what coming out the other side of all of that. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. And, it's a blessing thing that you do, and, there are still people out there that are suffering, that haven't been diagnosed. There's still people out there that are on medication that are hiding, and, it's sad what happened with your son, and, we need people like yourself, to, take this, like from your experience, it's easy for me to go, yes, I've got ADHD and this needs to happen and la la la. But some people just don't listen to us, and then it takes someone like you to come in and give us that opportunity to talk about our stories.
Well, I think you're tremendously brave,
Thank
because
you.
I would never have dared to talk about Ben's story when he was still alive, to be
Yeah.
completely frank with you. And Ben certainly wouldn't have talked about it himself, but you're doing it, and you're that, for all the world to see, and that's going to really help other people. So I think it's fantastic that you're doing it.
Yeah, thank you. And we're doing this for Ben.